introduce myself. My name is Barbara Nixon, and I specialise in management development, and I've done that for about 16 years now. So for the past 5 years, I've run a training company called Synaptic Change that designs and delivers bespoke management development for organisations, and then we embed that learning back into the workplace. However, over the years I became aware that not everyone has access to formal training in their company, and not everyone wants to share their aspirations with their boss. Instead, they want to develop themselves in their own time. So I created Manager's Mentor. Now, Manager's Mentor is an online space, and it's dedicated to developing, supporting and growing professionals. So today we are going to be talking about time management. Let me just ask you one quick question. What is it that really frustrates you about time management? Oh, got something in my throat, sorry. Oh, thank you. I'll just have a quick drink. If you can answer that question, that will be fantastic. What really frustrates you about time management? And I'll just drink. Can I mute while I cough? I'm just going to cough. Just bear with me. That something just went straight down the wrong side of my throat. If you can just tell me what frustrates you about time management, that would be fantastic. So we've got the amount of emails. Rubbish at it. Thank you, Carol, for being really honest. What else have we got? Not enough of it. What do you mean, Phil? Is it not enough time, or making time to think about it, keeping track of the volume of work ongoing without having to duplicate my inbox? Excuse me, I'm still struggling with my throat. Starting too many things at once. Yeah, Liz and I were talking about that just before we came online. Priorities in comparison to my managers and other managers. Getting interrupted in the middle of a task. Yeah, we were talking about that too. Fantastic. So we're right on track now, and I've cleared my throat, so I'm back with you, which is good. I'm really sorry about that. We have a bit of a problem in the 21st century because we wake up every morning feeling really exhausted. We went to bed, we might have gone to bed at a reasonable time, we might start to go to work earlier, and then we might try and get into work before everybody else to try and get loads of stuff done. We have massive to-do lists, but it never seems to get any shorter. We are constantly being interrupted, and no one seems to work as hard as you, and even at home you might seem to never get as much done. I don't know if you're the same, if this relates to you, but you might spend your time chasing your tail at home and at work. You might have the situation where your family are starting to have a bit of a moan because they want to spend time with you, and you would like that, but you just don't know how to fit it all in. You seem to spend your time rushing, but it never gets any better. You might be also in the situation where you're looking at other people in envy and you think, how on earth are they getting things done? How are they going around enjoying themselves? How are they seem to be in control of their life, and you don't understand how they're actually doing it. So my next question is, does any of that sound familiar? Are you getting into work earlier? Do you find that you stay in there later in a desperate attempt that you're actually getting stuff done? Yes, 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 always. Fantastic. So you are in the right place today, and you are absolutely not alone. Just have a look at the chat box in front of you. You are not alone. Time management remains to be one of the most popular development needs that we've got still today. As people get busier, we've got more demanding lives and jobs, and there's a greater expectation to deliver more and still deliver it well. Just before we came on air, Liz and I were having a conversation that we just can't seem to switch off because we have phones and we have devices and laptops and iPads and all sorts of things that we don't have the opportunity to switch off. And we don't, as a result, allow our brains to switch off either. So it's easier to feel tired, it's easier to feel frustrated, have that out of control feeling, and it starts to link with stress. So before we continue, what I want to do is just have a think about what is it that time management actually makes you feel at the moment? Because we asked the question earlier about, yes, we're struggling because we're struggling to keep track of everything. We're struggling because we've not got enough of it. But how is all that making you feel? Because time management is intrinsically linked to emotion. So just let me know, how is this making you feel? Swamped, frustrated, stressed, yeah. These are all absolutely quite common words. Feels like a burden. Great one, Rachel. Tired, overwhelmed, which in turn means I never get anything done. Disorganized, overwhelmed, out of control. Yeah, that feeling of being out of control is not an uncommon one. So thanks for all your answers. Another quick question then. How much do you really want to change your situation and improve your time management on a scale of 1 to 10? Do you want me to go? One more? Brilliant, thank you. 10, 10, 10. I just want to ask a question. We've got Carol, Amy, Rachel, Nisha. You're all on 8s. Is there what will make you get to a number 10? Just that interest. Oh, Chris Ainsworth too. Yeah, yeah. You're probably already there, which is fantastic. Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay. Thanks, Chris. Right, okay. Carol saying, if I felt I had control over all of my time, but I don't really, that would get you to a 10. Brilliant. So you've got still lots of high numbers there, which is great. And it means that we're really going to make some headway today. So throughout this session, we're going to share lots of different time management tips, tricks and techniques. Your job is to find at least one way that you can improve your situation immediately. Now, I'm saying one thing that you're going to commit to because when you do something over and over again for at least a month, you're going to make it into a habit. So you'll see massive improvements in your time management just by focusing on just one thing. So I don't want to add to your frustration or a feeling of being overwhelmed and out of control by giving you lots of things. I just want you to focus on just taking that one little gem of information away and then put that into practice. And what you choose is completely up to you. It does depend on your own specific needs, and I will leave it completely up to you. I'm just having a look down that chat box, see if I've not missed anything out. So let's start with your typical day. Now, I know this might be difficult, as you might not have 2 days that are the same, because I know I don't, but I want to at least give it a try. I want you to have a think about what really sucks your time. What really wastes your time? Now, I want you to be completely honest. If you waste time, then let's get it on the table. We all do. We all waste time in different ways. But if you procrastinate, I want you to say so. If you find yourself spending time on social media, then again, let us know. If you spend more time helping other people rather than doing your own work, that's not uncommon as well. A lot of people do. If you get interrupted constantly, get it down on paper. It really doesn't matter what it is for you. It's about being aware of it and owning up to yourself about what sucks your time. Spend a couple of minutes really thinking about what it is and what is it that really sucks your time. So we've got, let's have a look. Not being able to say no, yes. Faffing, love it, Paula. Avoiding difficult tasks, being interrupted. Interruption's a very common one. Complex processes, allowing myself to be interrupted, yeah. Emails, Nisha, excellent, we'll talk about that later. Making tea to break off from the task, I don't want to do or help in the team, yeah. Answering queries that are nothing to do with me, so helping others, emails, interruptions having to go back and locate information. Fantastic, a lot of common ones. Oh, we've got Amy at the top, commuting, but it has to be done. Yeah, it does have to be done, and I think we'll just touch on commuting very quickly because we're not going to talk about it later on, Amy, but I think it's a valid point. It's not really wasting time because it does have to be done like you've said, and if you do feel that you need to fill that time with things, there are things that you can do. You can catch up on your emails, you can read a book and use that time for just relaxation and development, so it's not wasted, but I do understand what you mean. Yeah, what if you're driving? There's all sorts of, CDs. Can't I drive? Great one, yeah. Well, just use that time to relax and listen to the radio then. But it isn't actually wasted time because you've got to get to where you need to be. Sometimes doing 3 things when I should focus on one and finish it. Yeah, we were talking about that, Rachel. Yeah, multitasking, it's not always the best thing. So thank you very much for being honest about it. The first step to any kind of improvement is knowing where you're starting from, and this is it. So being self-aware is a great place to start when we're making changes, and being honest about where we waste our time is important. So what we're going to do now is go through some tips to fix some of the most common problems. But before we do this, I want to share with you the first step to becoming a great time manager. Now this one is not going to come as a bit of a shock, and that is to write a list. Yep, keep going. Yep. Now you might think that this is obvious, but it's true and it'll really work. I want you to write a list of absolutely everything you have to do. Now you don't have to do it now, you'll be pleased to know, and because it probably sounds like a really daunting process. There might be hundreds and hundreds of things on that list, hopefully not literally, but seeing it all in front of you will really help because you don't actually have to do all of it. Yes, you did hear me right. You don't actually have to do all of it. Often we scare ourselves when we write our list to think that we have to do everything and we have to do it all immediately. But there will be things on that list that don't actually have to be done at all, and some that don't have to be done by you at all. So once you've written your list, I want you to be really honest with yourself, and I want you to cross off all the things that you don't really need to do. And these are the nice to do ones. Once you've done that, I want you to underline the things that you can delegate to someone else. Now your list should be looking a lot shorter. Once, do we need to mute people? I can hear some of you in the background. Yeah, you do that whilst thank you. I should be back now. So your list should now be looking a bit shorter. Once you've done that, I want you to highlight all the things that you absolutely need to do today, the ones that absolutely must be achieved today. And I want you to write those on a separate piece of paper. Once you've done all of that, you should have your to-do list for today so you can really start to get stuck in. The problem is that this sounds just a bit too easy, when in reality things are going to change, and that's when things get challenging. But you know what? Things do change, and it's just life. The trick is to retain control of your situation and your emotions. One of the best ways to do this is to keep revising your list. Start writing things down at the bottom of your list that you've done but didn't plan to do. Now you're probably wondering why you do that. After all, you've completed them. Remember the feeling of frustration and the lack of achievement that you've just told me that you had. Now this will stop that straight away, because at the end of the day you'll be able to see just what you have done, even if you didn't plan it and even if you didn't get anything else done. You'll also be able to start seeing trends and patterns. So for example, if every morning you get asked to do something that you hadn't planned, you know that you should plan in some time for that. If you know that it usually takes you 2 hours to put your kids to bed rather than half an hour, start planning that into your day. Another good benefit to doing this is if things keep happening at work that add to your workload. You'll also be able to confidently have that conversation with your line manager using your list as evidence. So just to recap, write your list of everything that you have to do, cross off all the things that don't actually have to be done, underline what you can delegate if you can, and highlight what must be done today. And then any interruptions that you get, I want you to write that at the bottom of the list. And you can cross that off if you want, but you can also use that as evidence with your line manager to say, actually, I'm being asked to do this on a regular basis, or you can actually put in some fixes to sort out the problem once and for all. Okay, so that brings me to the next topic, which is be realistic. Now, so many people are unrealistic with what they have to achieve in a day. Remember, we've probably only got about 8 hours at work, and you need to have at least 30 minutes for your lunch, if not more. And I'm sure if I ask the question, not all of you would actually take lunch. I will ask that question just to see whether I'm right. Yeah, do a poll. I wouldn't mind actually knowing how many of you actually do take lunch every day. So let's say you do take lunch and it's 30 minutes, if not more. So I want you to start being realistic. If you're one of those people who runs around all day desperately trying to do a week's amount of work in one day, I am encouraging you and giving you permission to stop. So you have now got permission to stop running around all day trying to do everything. All that you're doing is driving yourself into an exhausted frenzy. Instead, I want you to have a look at your list and prioritize what you absolutely need to do in that day, and then account for all the interruptions you have and the things that just happen. So put at least 4 to 5 hours worth of work on your list, and everything else you do, add it to the bottom of your list. You can then use these additional tasks at the bottom to see if there are any patterns, anything you need to speak to your manager about, or anything you need to fix. Okay?
50-50.
Oh, 50-50. Fantastic. Well, somebody said that take lunch at the desk as well, yeah.
Quite a few people
Yeah,
have
take lunch at the desk, have lunch now, which is great. I'm all right with that. Working lunch. Now, a good thing to remember here as well is that the task usually expands to fit the time you have available. I absolutely love this. It's called Parkinson's Law. It really relates to me. So if you have something to do, allocate some time and set your alarm clock. I do this on pretty much every task that I have to do. Only give yourself a set amount of time per task, and literally set the alarm on your phone to do that. And it's amazing how much more productive you'll be. For example, if you've got a report to write and you need to finish it by the end of the day, instead of working on it all day in between all the interruptions and phone calls and checking emails and all the other tabs and windows that you've got open on your PC, I want you to set your alarm clock on your phone for a set amount of time and only give yourself that amount of time. I know it sounds a bit bonkers, but it absolutely does work. And whilst we're talking about focusing on one topic at a time, I want you to also have a think about the time of day that you focus best. So are you an owl or a lark? Do you work best in the morning or in the evening? Work with your own body clock rather than against it. Does anyone have a preferred time of day that they work? Any that they find they can focus more in the mornings or in the evenings? Yeah. 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 Oh, morning. Loads of mornings. Oh, now a bit of a mixture. If you are a morning person, then absolutely keep all of your main focus tasks in the morning, and likewise for the afternoon and evening people. So a bit of a recap. Write a list of everything you need to do. Cross out everything you don't need to do. Delegate some things that other people can do for you, and we are going to talk about delegation in a second. Prioritize the things that you absolutely have to do that day. Allow time for interruptions, and then stick those things at the bottom of your list. Be realistic with what you can achieve. Set your alarm clock and work with your own body clock. So you should already have something that you want to implement straight away, but we've still got more to come. So the one way that you can also regain control of your life is by using other people more. Well, we mentioned it a minute ago when we were discussing writing lists, so it's worth exploring delegation. Now, delegation and delegating to others is a fantastic way of stealing time back, not to mention all the additional benefits of motivating and empowering other people and developing other people. It is a great potential development opportunity for other people, providing you do it right. Now, I mentioned delegating right because there is definitely a right and wrong way to do it. I've seen people delegate to others but not empower them in the slightest, as they do this by looking over their shoulder, correcting them all the time, chastising mistakes and not rewarding or praising. In this instance, the person's getting more and more frustrated and demotivated, whilst you as the delegator might as well not have bothered. So if you're really wanting to use delegation as a way of getting some time back, then you need to link that with empowerment as well, so that you're not looking over their shoulder. Yeah, Amy's just asked the question, how can someone's not a manager at, or they might be at entry level, delegate tasks to somebody else? It may or may not be an opportunity for you or an option for you, Amy. Or you might have other people in your team who have got a lighter workload than you. So it might be worth having the conversation with your manager to see whether you can spread the work. But again, it might not be an option for those people that haven't got a team to delegate to. There's also a school of thought that by the time that you train somebody else to do a task, you might as well not have done it. That you might as well have done it yourself. It is certainly true. However, I do prefer to think of it as short-term pain for long-term gain. If you take the time to train someone else properly, you might never need to do that task again, which is definitely a benefit. I'll just have a look. Natasha's saying, I'm at entry level and I just ask my colleagues for help. Fantastic. Thank you, Natasha. We are a team, so we'll all help each other. Swap tasks to support team strengths. Brilliant. Thank you, Rachel. So let's look at our 10 good time wasters and how we can banish them for good. Now, these are not in any particular order, as we're all different and it would be impossible to prioritise them, but we'll kick off with one of my own personal favourites, and it's something that I've spoken to quite a few people about, and that is, number one, being disorganised. Do you spend time every day looking for your keys, your diary, that piece of paper that you scribble something on that you need and left somewhere on your desk, that file that you need for that meeting, that email that you need, that document that you saved somewhere and can't remember where, or even what you called it? Do you have a bit of a Mary Poppins handbag with everything in it? Does your desk look like a bomb's hit it? And do your drawers look like they've been burgled? Or do you pride yourself on having organised chaos and you find yourself saying to other people, it might look like a mess, but I know where everything is? If this is you, it might be a great time to have a clear out and get organised. And again, this is another short-term pain, long-term gain solution. Put aside a Friday afternoon, get organised. Go through your inbox and organise your emails, your computer files, your documents and all your folders. Go through all your drawers, your diary and create a system and process. Now it doesn't really matter what your process is, providing it works for you, but do have a clear out and really work at keeping yourself organised. You'll be surprised at how quickly you start seeing extra minutes add into your day. If this is if you are one of those people that really does spend time searching for folders on your PC, then it is worth just going through everything and having a bit of a clear out. Now the next time waster that I want to mention is coffee and smoke breaks. Now this really does add up. I think somebody mentioned coffee breaks earlier on in our chat box. If you find yourself nipping out for a cuppa or a cigarette break more than 3 times a day, and then you need to start having a bit of a rethink. It's not so much the break that's a problem, as I'm the first person to shout about the importance of breaks and giving your brain a rest. The problem comes when it's excessive and when you use it to socialise. If you find yourself going for a cuppa and chatting for 15 minutes in the canteen, kitchen or the smoking shelter outside of your normal break times, it can really start to eat into your day. I think somebody at the start of our webinar mentioned that they use coffee breaks or going for a coffee to put off tasks that they don't actually want to do. Again, it's a great way to start recognising your habits. So if this is you, you can start to think, right, why am I going for a coffee break? Is it to put off this task? If so, then you need to have a think about the task that you've got to do. But if you are having excessive coffee and smoke breaks, try to cut them down to at least 3 times a day. So 1 in the morning, afternoon and at lunch, and see how this gives you more time to focus. You can also use coffee and smoking breaks as a bit of a reward when you've done a task that you might not have wanted to do, which works really, really well for me. I'll just let you, I think a few people are typing there, so I'll just let you have a finish. Just 5 minutes for kettle to boil, but get back to it. Luckily, we can make tea in the office. Yeah, it's a great idea. Coffee breaks can also take a while when you have to make the tea. Yeah, I agree, Amy. That's a point, yeah. When you've got loads of people to make a cuppa for, it can all add up. But again, you might want to work that into your day. If you find that you at least have to do that once, then that might have to be on your list as something that you need to do. I'm just going to wait for people to finish typing away because I want to capture the chats, and then we can move on to point number 3. Delegate the tea and coffee breaks. Is that what you mean, Rachel? Yeah, I love that idea. Just get it brought in, I think. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, delegate it. I think it's great. Who's got a development opportunity to make tea and coffee? No chance in our office, it gets noticed. Fair enough. Right, the third one is social media. This is a modern day time waster, and it is something that I do talk to quite a lot of people about. And it's one that so many of us actually suffer from nowadays. So how often do you find yourself checking Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever your social media tipple is? Now, it might be something that you're not able to do at work, but it might be something that really wastes your time at home. But if it's something you're doing a lot of, and you'll know what a lot is for you, then it's time to cut down. But instead of going cold turkey, what I want you to do is count how many times you're on social media in a day. So I want you to use it for one day, just do a normal day and keep a tally and review it when you go to bed. And be honest, write down the average time that you're on. Now it'll range from a couple of minutes to, well, ages, I suppose. It's hard for me to say, but easy for you to find out. Over the course of a week, have a look at this figure. Is it time well spent? If you're shaking your head, then time to do something about it. Simply do something else instead and reserve social media for just once or twice a day. You'll soon start to see other things dropping off your to-do list as a result of that. Now, who does suffer from social media as a bit of a time waster? Yeah, ask a poll. I'm not using these polls.
Yeah, I am, 'cause it was quite
Yeah,
big for me. We
yeah,
sort of
definitely.
kind of stuff, weren't
Yeah, let's have a poll. I'd like to know who... Do you waste time on social media?
Do you think you waste time?
And I'll have a bit of a chat. Can be a good chance to catch up on work issues rather than using email. Yeah, no. Oh, we've not got any social media addicts in this group, which is... Yeah, do you use it at home, though? Because I understand that it's probably not something that you can use at work, but is it something that you're addicted to at home? Yeah, we've got... Thankfully, it's not allowed on the work laptop. Maybe I should start, then I could give it up and have lots of time. Yeah, yeah, why not? I'll just let other people. Yeah, thank you. Waste time on it at home. I appreciate it's not something that you can probably use at work, but definitely you can still waste time at home when you could be doing other things. Yeah, more of a home thing. Okay,
Quite a positive split there, isn't
I
it?
think so. Yeah.
That's good, that.
Yeah. So do
Quite
you?
surprising.
But maybe if you asked, do you waste time on social media at home? It might be completely different. Yeah. I don't even use the term. It's total waste of time. Brilliant. Thank you. Right. Number 4 is our old friend procrastination. Now this pops up time and time again. Procrastination is putting off for later what we should and could be doing right now. Anyone suffer from this? Who suffers from procrastinating?
Let me just get this big bit up here.
Yeah, keep it up. Yeah, that's fine. Yes. This is where you're all at. That's fantastic. We've got no social media addicts, but you're all procrastinators, which is great. Or not great, but it's great for me to know. So procrastination is something that, yes, so many of us do suffer from it. But why do we do it? When we do know that we've got something to do, why on earth do we put it off? So chances are we know we're doing it, but we do it anyway. The job's not so interesting. Yeah. So why do we do it even though we know that we've got to do something? Partly because of anticipated interruptions. Do you mean that why start something when you're going to get interrupted anyway? Is that what you mean? Carol? Task may seem to be hard, but when it's done, it actually isn't. Yeah, because I don't know where to start in my list. Yes, thank you, Carol. So I'll just wait for the list to stop jumping up. Something else comes that's more urgent. Yeah. So it's usually because we don't actually know where to start, or it's a bit daunted, or the why bother starting because we're going to get interrupted anyway, or something else has come along which is more urgent. Okay, so the first step to beating procrastination is to recognise what it feels like. Now this will be different from person to person, so you will need to spot your own signs. So you might feel guilty. You might feel bored. I think somebody mentioned that it's not very interesting. You might actually feel tired. You might feel fed up, like you can't be bothered, and you start to actively look for something else to do. But chances are that whatever you choose, it won't need to be done. So things like checking your emails, going for that coffee. We've mentioned that social media is not a problem here. It might be at home. You might think watching telly, playing Candy Crush at home. Or the filing or chatting, everyone procrastinates at some point or another, and you will have that activity that will be your go-to activity when you start procrastinating. So you need to start finding out what your own signs are. So what do you actually revert to doing, and what does it feel like? Now you'll probably find that just being aware of the fact that you're procrastinating is enough to spur you into action. However, if you're still struggling, I do want you to try the following techniques. So have a look at what time of day you procrastinate most and avoid doing big tasks then. So if you have a habit of procrastinating in the mornings or in the afternoons, then avoid doing all your big focus tasks then. It might be that that's outside of your focus time that we mentioned earlier. Split bigger jobs into manageable chunks so they don't feel as daunting. Allow yourself a break. Now, if you really don't feel like doing it, find out why. Have a look at the task. Is it because you don't know where to start? Is it because you need to chunk it down? Is it because you don't feel like it at the moment? So have a think about what it is about that particular task that's causing you to procrastinate. And is it always that task? Is it the same task every day or every week, a recurring task that you always procrastinate? which is quite interesting. Now, doing other things like watching TV or your social networking or checking your emails or filing is all okay, and it does provide your brain that much-deserved break, providing it is all part of the plan and it doesn't become the norm and start taking over your life. Good time management is about being in control of your time. So understanding why you're procrastinating and what it feels like is really important. So I think a couple of you are typing away. I just want to see your comments and then we can move on. I'll just wait for you to finish typing. Does sleep procrastination be the same method? I'm not sure. I don't understand what you mean. Do you want to just clarify that for me? And then we'll come back to it. Okay, we'll come back to that. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, having a cat nap. Well, it depends what. So what do you mean? If you have a nap during the middle of the day? I think yeah. Is that what you mean? Is that just explain to me a bit more what you mean about cat nap, please, Rachel, so that I can talk around that. Just wait for you to finish typing and then we can move on. Procrastination is a massive one for so many people. Oh, sorry, you're guessing. You're guessing what somebody else put. I see. I mean sleep procrastination. What do you mean by that? Is that... Yeah, we're going to have to move on. Rad, if you want to just let me know afterwards, then that'd be great, because I'm not sure I understand. So after procrastination, I want to talk about tip number 5, which is, or time waster, which is emails. Loads of you mentioned this right at the beginning, which is having too many emails, your inbox constantly being full. Emails continue to be a constant source of frustration for so many people. It's something that I do spend a lot of time talking to people about. Emails pop up continuously throughout the day and they do have to be dealt with, but the problem comes when you're allowing yourself to be interrupted by them. So you might have a pop-up box that jumps up on your screen and you find yourself stopping what you're doing and going straight to your email. Now, good time managers actually allocate time to check their email. Now, you know your job and your daily routine, so obviously pick times that suit you, but do turn off your email alert on your PC. I will encourage you to do that and allow yourself to be much more in control of the emails and not the other way around. Another good tip for managing emails is to only touch them once if possible. So you open it, read it, action it, and file it. Done. Many people open it, read it, close it again, and keep redoing that until they've actioned it. If you can, action it and deal with it rather than avoiding it and putting it off and putting it to one side. Again, this is a habit that you're going to have to work with and see whether it actually does work for you. But I would actually encourage you to turn off your email alert on your PC. You might feel that that it doesn't work with your role, which is fine. If you have to keep looking at your emails, then fair enough. But if that's the case, do aim to just touch them once. Now, a great email trick that I learned is not to check your emails first thing in the morning. I know I got into the habit of getting to my desk, and whilst I was having my first cup of tea, I'd check my emails and read through them. What worked best for me at that point, instead of doing that, was actually getting stuck into my to-do list. So I felt that I was really making progress from the beginning of my day. So instead of doing that, check them when you've crossed one thing off your to-do list. Otherwise, you will find yourself playing catch-up all day. Now, it's a good time to go on to number 6 of our list, which is saying no. I think somebody mentioned this at the beginning of our session. Again, this is something that I do talk to people quite a lot about because it is really, really hard to do because we're all people pleasers at the end of the day, but it will make your life so much easier. I'd like you to have a go at saying no without saying no. And this just takes practice. So instead of saying no, I can't do something, say, I'd love to help you with that, but I'm a bit busy with this at the moment, sorry. Or I'd love to help you with that. If you come back in an hour, I'll really be able to focus on it for you. Or I'd love to help you with that. Are you okay with me stopping this task to do it? So that last one might be a really good thing to say to your manager so they can start to really understand what you've got on at the moment. Saying no does come with practice, but used effectively, it will start to make your life easier. And it is something that I would encourage you to start sort of using every single day so that you can start to be a bit more confident about it and not feel guilty when you've said no. Now, number 7 on our list is multitasking. This is something that Liz and I was talking about just before we went on air. It does sound like a good thing. It does. However, it doesn't really work as well in practice as what we'd like. When we multitask, we're actually reducing our focus on more than one thing. If you find yourself multitasking on a regular basis, I want you to stop and focus properly on one thing at once. Does anybody struggle with multitasking? It doesn't actually work for them as well as what they'd like it to. Yes, yes. And it did for me as well, Natasha. Yeah, I thought multitasking was a great thing until I realised that actually I was doing a lot of starting things, but not a lot of finishing anything. Yes, I might break off something and forget about it until later. I used to be better at it. I do it all the time, all day. I'm a mum. What choice do you have? I'm a mum too, Jenny. I hear you. I hear you. I understand completely. Yeah, what multitasking at work, I'd encourage you to kind of shy away from and start one thing and finish it off. Just give it a go. See how you get on. And do let me know. I'd be interested. Number 8 is meetings. Now, meetings can be a fantastic way to get lots of people together, but they can be a massive time suck if they're not productive. Now, unfortunately, we could talk for another hour on meeting skills, so all I'll say is before attending a meeting, have a think about why you need to be there and what's the purpose. If you find that you're getting dragged in from one meeting to another and you're not really sure what contribution you're expected to make, have a think whether you need to be there at all. Have a think about what the point of the meeting is or whether someone else can go on your behalf, and it should narrow down some of the meetings that you're asked to attend. So has anyone got any questions at this stage? Any questions? We've covered an awful lot. No questions? Brilliant. Let's have a bit of a recap whilst you're seeing whether you've got any questions. Yep, yep. So we've talked about what sucks our time. We've looked at making a list, delegation, being organised. We've talked about social media, although it's not as much of an issue with you guys here today. Procrastination and how to actually stop procrastinating. So have a think about what it feels like, what habit tasks, what default task rather you go into when you procrastinate, and why you're procrastinating in the first place. We've talked about meetings, we've talked about emails, saying no, and multitasking. So we have been busy. Remember, time management is all about staying in control of your day and using the resources you have available. It's about leaving work with a clear conscience and not necessarily a clear in tray. Now, before we go, I would be interested to know which was your most useful tip that you're going to put into action. So if you could let me know now, that would be fantastic. So which was the one thing, one gem that you're actually going to start putting into action? We have how to track your to-do list without listing on scraps and paper, then losing it. Yeah. Open it, deal with it, and file it. Fantastic, Natasha. Turn off your alerts. Brilliant, Nisha. Learning to say no. Fantastic, Jane. Let me know how you get on. Not checking emails as soon as I get in and doing at least one task. Amy, it's a great one to do. Remember, it takes about 30 days to change a habit, so don't give up after your first week. Keep it going just use it for February and see how you get on. But I would love to know how you do, how you get on. Emails, not learning to say no. Yeah. Your ideas and list management. Brilliant, Chris. Let me know again how you get on. 3 things, Jenny. Brilliant. Time-specific piece of work on phone. Yeah, that really, really works for me. So do have a go at using that. Checking emails less than a day and focus on daily priorities. Oh, and delegate. Brilliant, Rachel. If that works and you're able to do that in your team, fantastic. Do give it a go. So we've covered an awful lot. I'm so pleased that you've all got something to take away with you today. I would love to, yeah, your poor team. Sorry, Rachel, I've just read that now. It made me giggle. So do please let me know. I am on Twitter. I know you guys aren't social media users, but I'm on LinkedIn as well if you want to join me on there. And if you'd like to subscribe to my blog, please just visit. Yeah, just come on over to barbaranixon.co.uk. I've got a weekly blog there that you can get more hints and tips on a whole range of personal development things as well as time management. But thank you very much for today. Have a really productive week, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Barbara. If you'd like to catch up with any of Barbara's previous webinars as well, then please send me a request for the catalogue, because that's got all her personal development and webinars that she's been running. I'm more than happy to send that through, or just type it in there and I'll whiz it over to you. So thank you ever so much. That was absolutely brilliant. I've got quite a lot of tips myself. I'm like everybody else. I'm going to start actioning straight away. The chat's been really, really engaging and really intuitive. That's absolutely brilliant. It makes it such a much more successful webinar. Like I say, I'll email you everything over, and if you do fancy getting up at 8:15 in the morning, if your time management skills levy that, 8:30 once a month we've got a virtual HR breakfast club that if you'd like to attend on that basis, that might be of interest to you. So just to let you know, not next week, tomorrow, we've got another webinar tomorrow with Stephen O'Donnell on the crazy to hire matrix, which is going to be quite an interesting topic, I'm sure. So please join us then, and if not, we'll hopefully see you at another webinar. And thanks ever so much for your input today and for listening and for your time. Thank you.